Kelly Fast is an astronomer working for NASA who has broadened our understanding of other planets in our solar system. She has helped to develop new technologies to unravel the mysterious atmospheres of faraway worlds. Currently, she manages the Near-Earth Objects Observation Program at the Planetary Defense Coordination Office at NASA headquarters.
Well, it's been said by some of our community that planetary defense is finding asteroids before they find us, and then I like to add, then maybe getting them before they get us. Well, the idea that asteroids are impacting Earth all the time, and they have through Earth's history, though they tend to be small ones that the atmosphere takes care of easily, but we'd like to know if there's something that's larger that might impact Earth. And in the case of like the Chelyabinsk impactor a few years back over Russia, that it didn't even reach the ground intact, but it did a lot of damage with the shock wave. But then something larger that might reach the ground intact. It's an unlikely event. It doesn't happen very often, and maybe never even in our lifetimes. But if we have the capability to search the skies and find these objects and catalog them and predict where they'll be in the future, then we should do that, because then it gives us the opportunity to prepare.
With the knowledge of incoming objects, NASA and other agencies around the world can make plans to protect the Earth from potential disaster.
If you did discover an asteroid that in the future was going to impact the Earth and you had years or decades to plan for it, you could potentially send a mission to deflect the asteroid, because if you found it way in advance, you wouldn't have to deflect it much for it to actually miss the Earth in the future. So that's great. But it'd be nice to test some of those techniques, and one of the simplest technique is the kinetic impact. You just go smack an asteroid and just tweak it on its path. And NASA's taken that opportunity to do that with the DART mission, the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. And what's going to happen is a spacecraft is going to impact actually the moon of a larger asteroid, the moonlet of a larger asteroid, and it's just going to change the period of the orbit of that moon around the larger asteroid. But it's a way of testing, if we actually had to deflect something for real, can we do it? And it was launched in November of 2021, and it's going to impact on September 26th of 2022.
In addition to searching for and tracking objects near the Earth, Dr. Fast has spent years learning about the atmospheres of other planets in our solar system.
In my career path, I became a planetary scientist and a planetary astronomer. I was studying atmospheres of other planets, doing very high-resolution spectroscopy to look at individual molecular species in different atmospheres. And for me, in particular, I studied anything that had an atmosphere, and even like impacts on Jupiter. But I studied the planet Mars, and I studied ozone in planet Mars. And because Mars's atmosphere is so thin, it's kind of like taking Earth's stratosphere and bringing it down to the surface. In a way, it's very different. Mars is very different from the Earth. Venus is very different from the Earth, but in ways they're similar, and it's sort of a chance to kind of see maybe what happens on other planets when things go wrong, or what can we learn about maybe like what might be decoupled from our involvement, seeing behavior on Mars, we've seen upheavals in the atmosphere of Jupiter, maybe things that have to do with solar activity or other variability in the solar system, and maybe that would be a way of understanding what is happening solar system wide versus what do we have control of on our planet.
Her career in space science was influenced by things that we all would find familiar.
Oh, well, as a kid, for me, it was the Star Trek reruns, the original series. I loved that. But also maybe lesser known, Space 1999, which I was a kid, but I remembered exactly where I was when the pilot was aired, and just something about the way the scenes were filmed, about Moonbase Alpha, and it was just beautiful. The music, I loved the music from it, just the scenes in space that even Yeah, maybe some were hokey, but something about filming real spacecraft, like in Space 1999 and the original Star Trek, it's almost better than the CGI we see sometimes, and it drew me in. I didn't have any friends really who were into that sort of thing, so as a young woman, that was kind of my own thing that I was into. But I loved Star Trek and Space 1999, and I just thought, I want to be an astronomer. I didn't know what that meant, but I thought, I want to be an astronomer. And I got astrophysics and astronomy degrees, and I wasn't even thinking NASA at the time, but then I found myself working at NASA doing astronomy and related to NASA science and space missions, and eventually now managing programs and working with planetary defense and the search for near-Earth asteroids. And so it's been a whole interesting journey, and I can point to some episodes for Star Trek and Space 1999 that included asteroid deflection or disruption, and so maybe things have come full circle.
For her diligent work on astronomical research, her colleagues named a main belt asteroid after her.
Well, it's an honor. It's the privilege of the discoverer of an asteroid to have it named, and there are a lot of asteroids out there. So I don't mean to downplay it, but maybe it's not as prestigious as it sounds, because there are a lot of asteroids. But I was so honored that one of my colleagues who discovered an asteroid, and some other colleagues with him, went to the trouble to submit my name and a justification for getting that name for the work I've done in planetary science. And that was even before I really got into planetary defense so much. So I guess from a personal point of view, it's just such an honor to have another colleague do that for me. And then just in general, it's an amazing privilege to have such a thing happen. NASA is very big on STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, and math, and it is very important. But one thing I encounter sometimes are people thinking, oh, I always wanted to work for NASA, but I wasn't good at math. But you know what, if it was only scientists and engineers running NASA, we'd be in big trouble. And the point is, we've got all kinds of other people behind the scenes, working everything at NASA. Like somebody said, no, they wanted to work for NASA, but they went to law school instead. And I'm like, my goodness, NASA has lawyers, NASA has policy people, NASA has admin, NASA has the people who take care of the buildings. I mean, so without that entire team, these missions don't happen. And so it's important across the board. And people who love science and love science fiction here, you can still be involved. You don't have to be a scientist or engineer, but you can support the science and engineering mission.
Baltimore County Public Library caught up with Kelly Fast and other scientists and authors at Shore Leave 42. For more information, go to www.shore-leave.com.